Hi everybody, welcome back to Spruverse, my scale model universe, people of Earth. Welcome to part 5 of Build Polar Lights' 1350 refit from the 1975 motion picture Star Trek The Motion Picture. See Lou, I remembered. That's a little inside baseball. We had a little discussion about 78, 79. I started calling it 78 because I saw a preview in 78, but it actually came out in 79. So, not that I'm whining. Not that I'm whining. Thrilled to be back with you for part 5. I'm trying to keep these a little more segmented and not so long-winded. I tend to bloviate, and I apologize for that. Diving in, I've got out the perfect putty. Here it is. And I am using it on the lower saucer portion of this build. I like it. Just for sort of getting in those nooks and crannies and getting this perfectly sealed. Now I have put a little bead of super glue around the lower sensor array here, but what I'm doing is I'm just getting a little bit of putty into the sort of the bottom of this surface here, so as I can get a really nice sort of a nice blend between this 3D printed part and the rest of it, because I removed all of the pins, and I just to sort of have this sit flat on here is, it's not complicated, but I just want it to be nice. I want it to look good, as they say. And as this starts to dry, you can actually really clean it up nicely and avoid a lot of sanding issues. And of course, once you get a little coat of paint on that, that looks pretty good. Now I do see here that I've got a little bit of a gap still, and I find sometimes pushing it in with your finger is a lot it's a lot easier than trying to push it in and take it out. Now if I let that dry or set up for just a little bit, I should be in good shape to just take a wet Q-tip to it and wipe the excess off. Sometimes you get this kind of weird diminishing returns here, but I think it's just because you really got to be a little more patient and let the putty dry. But this perfect putty is I think it's very good for jobs like this, because you don't have to sand it, and it dries quite fast actually, so it's good in that regard. Now I do have a bead of super glue under this, so I'm pretty well light blocked, and my lights are in. And once I've done this, I can start doing just a quick sanding on this. And that should conclude the everything I need to do to the lower saucer. I should be good to go in terms of getting my my final coat on here of the insignia white. I've tried some other whites, but the insignia for me, I think, is going to be a good base coat. It's a hard shell, and it takes acrylic paint quite nicely. So when it comes to the final painting of this, we should be in good shape. And speaking of final painting, I do have a surprise for all of you. I don't want to share it completely right now. I keep teasing it, I know, but I've got a very cool surprise for all of you. At least I think it's a cool surprise when it comes to painting this model. So I hope you all think it's as cool as I do. Okay, that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to clean this up. And then this is going to get a light sanding of 600, 800, and then 1,000. And then I will hit it with a coat of the insignia, which is enamel based, but it's an acrylic, and acrylics go over it very well. No issues at all. So that will finish the lower saucer, and then once the lower saucer is finished, I will move on to the top saucer and talk a little bit about what we're going to do there, because we're going to have to fire it up so that we can focus our lights that are going to hit our registry and our name, and that all has to happen. And then once we know that those floods are exactly where they need to be, then I'm going to go ahead and paint and finish the AB deck. And then once the AB deck is finished and painted, then it's just a function of just gluing it down and doing just a final touch up, and we'll do that at the very, very end, I believe. So there you go. Looking good. I'm going to put my windows in as late as I possibly can. There's no need to put my windows in right now. Absolutely no reason at all. Here it is. Here's the perfect putty. You guys use this. You guys use this. I really love it only because of it's water based. Now, you know, it dries very quickly, and you know, it can be a bit of a pain when it comes to the cleanup of the nozzle. But no one's perfected that yet. Somebody needs to come out with perfect nozzles for CA glue, for putties, for all kinds of things like that. So, okay. I'm going to clean this up, and then we'll take a look at the upper saucer. Did not want to keep you in the dark about what I was doing, so I'm in the test mode at the moment, and I'm really happy with what's going on. I'm now focusing the floodlight for the registry and the name Enterprise, and I'm doing pretty good. Here's the what I've got. And you can see it's very impressive. It's got this beautiful line, and it casts it right out. Enterprise will be just about here. Yeah, Enterprise will be just about here. So I think I'm casting just a perfect amount of light. Everything looks really nice, really nice. So I couldn't be happier. So now what I've got to do is, well, what I'm trying to do is just kind of lock this off. Now I'm noticing I've still got some light blocking to do, but that's okay. I think I'll be fine when I get another coat on that. I did light block the underneath. This flood here, this one here, curiously enough, doesn't have enough. I don't have a lot of lead on it. So if it's operator error, which is more than likely the case, I can't get that to stay there. But that's what I think needs to happen. Just to sort of give that a super blast of light. Now, that's pretty good. That's quite far forward too. Could come back just about to there, but that would blast it. But if I don't well, if I go any far forward, then that's no good. It won't reach it. So that's where it's got to go, and that's working beautifully. So so I think that's where it's going to live. So what I've got to do is I've got to get that locked down, and then I should be good to go. I've completely blown out my eyeballs, if you can believe it. But I'm thrilled. I'm really thrilled that we've got this far, and everything's starting to look really good. I can see where I've got some light blocking issues, but not terrible. And I know that everything is working the way it should be. So that is good. So I think that's where that's going to live. The issue now, of course, is that a little too far forward? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what else I can do other than if I peel that back any more, I could come back just a hair, I suppose. See if I can push that back just a hair. See if it makes a difference. No, I don't think it does. I think it's fine. So that's where it's going to live. And we may have to, I'm looking here, that hasn't broken, no. I'm looking to see if there's anything I can do. If I pull this back just a little more, wow, this is bright. It really is. I mean, it's impressively, for what's going on here, it's really quite impressive. Can that go that far back? No. See, it will not reach. That is the farthest you can put it. It wants to be there, but I think that's the farthest you can put it. And then give this one see if I can get that to cooperate. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to mark that. And that's where we'll put it. And then we'll go from there. Not bad. Not bad. I'm really happy with that. I think that's going to look pretty good. And everything else is looking really good. I've got a few light leaks, but nothing terrible. That won't help you at all. Okay, so now I know where my floodlight needs to be focused. I can nail that down, and then I can start concentrating on the AB bridge, getting it finaled, and also working on puttying and finishing up, getting a coat of the insignia on the top and the bottom. And then I think that could be closed up. It's kind of scary, but it's exciting. So we'll plow on. We continue with the 1350 refit from Polar Lights. So I went back to the saucer. It has a coat of, well, it's had several coats of primer. It has now been dusted several times with my insignia white, which has a little bit of gray in it, and I've got a little bit left to do. I've got one more, just a light sanding, and I've got just a little bit of schmutz here and there. I've been working on the windows, and I'm sanding again, and I'm going to be puttying again. I've got a little bit of puttying here. I'm sanding again here. I've got some sanding to do here. But that's starting to look pretty decent there. Now, I think you get the idea. The theme there is putty, sand, sand, putty, sand, putty, putty, sand, putty, sand, sand, putty. So work will continue, and I will probably post a few of those update photos on my Instagram just to get in the weeds, but that's what's going on. Same with the bottom saucer as well. And then once that is to my likeness, we can seal that up and then see where we are. Now, I have lost some of the sensor band around the windows. I had a very difficult time keeping it clean and puttying it up, and some of my pieces I thought were flush. When you apply your window pieces to your model, now for some of you, what I'm about to say is, you know, Phil, did you go to the University of the frickin' obvious? But for me it wasn't, which was recheck your alignment and run your finger on everything. You know, use a slow curing glue. I used the contactor, which is great stuff for this. And I thought I had done a good job of running my thumb and my finger around everything just to make sure it was also perfect and tight. When I got to the one set of windows that requires a piece of photo etch, if you're going to use the photo etch, it's an airlock. There's a gap. They don't seat nicely together. Surprise, surprise for this kit, right? So you have this sort of weird choice you have to make. Do you leave the gap as it's set? Do you try to pull everything together? Do you clip off one of the retaining rings that align it to its pegs so that you can slide it? And even if you do all of that, you're going to end up with a gap somewhere, because for some bizarre reason, the sprue gods decided to give me a bunch of window parts that were not tight. So you're off by 0.5 of a millimeter or something like that. And so, you know, you're puttying and sanding, and that's life with the refit. Okay, couple of things to update you on. I have been working on the deflector dish, and I'm super happy with the way this has come out. What I've done is now, as you know, I'm using the bundle. So in order to get my my lights, my yellow lights, which light up these little windows here, right? These windows. What I went and did is, don't worry about the English, it's not good. I sat those up proud, and I used some of my Steino res, which is my instant curing acrylic. And those are perfect. And I also created little lenses in there. That was also perfect. Another thing I've been doing, which is, it's a great gimmick if you like it. If you don't like it, what I'm about to tell you is a complete waste of time, but for me, I really kind of like it. You need to light block everything anyway. So I dusted everything with my matte black. You know, I've got a couple of go-tos. My Citadel I've been talking about, which I really love because it dries very, very fast. And also my Humbrol matte black is also very, very good. And what I did was I painted everything black, the whole thing. So that when I hit it with my primer coat and then I hit it with my Insignia white, you get some really nice, your lines all pop very crisply. Look at that. And I really like it. Now, yes, this is going to get dusted with a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm not quite sure what yet, but it works really well. Now, the next thing I did was this piece here inside. Now you got to hang with me here because I don't want to confuse anybody. But this piece is the kit part that is actually, it's actually this piece. It has this extended. Now, this is my 3D printed part, so I've got all this incredible detail and my windows were already punched out and looking perfect. But in the model part, you have to add all of this afterwards. But this part in the kit is this part. I hope you're following me because I'm already thoroughly confused. Now, what I did was I trimmed off everything around it. It comes with a pre-drilled hole in the center of it for a 3mm bulb. Very kind. So what I did was I trimmed it down to where it would fit inside of this piece. And then what I did was I hit it with some aluminum gloss. The center part here, this disc, is from the great folks over at Laser Fire Creations. It's the same company that produce the window inserts, the acrylic window inserts that I've been using and talking about. So if you want to get a hold of them, it is info@laserfirecreations.com. And they've got these for a couple of bucks. Now, you say, Phil, you can make one of those yourself. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. However, I didn't. I bought one because it's perfectly round. And my head is so broken that if I looked at something in there that wasn't perfectly round, even though you're not going to see it, it would have hurt my head. There's another reason you use it too, is because it creates the most brilliant diffusion. It's brilliant. And then with the part that comes with your 3D printed deflector shield, you get this. And it sits beautifully, if I can do this carefully. Nope. Hang on. Nobody panic. it sits in here perfectly, like that. Then this part sits in the what I call the sort of the buttress, right? That sits down in this, like so, and it creates your deflector shield. Now, the net result is, and I haven't got this wired up to show you, but and I can't really show you here, but you can see a little bit. It's not terrible, but you can see. If I take the light away, you get that. When I bring the light back, you can see you get a perfect glow. It's perfect. And it's diffused beautifully. That, for me, is a result. So I've got my color changing LED in there. It goes from orange to blue. I've tested it, and I will promise you that a little further down the line we will test it and you'll see it. It works. It works a treat. It's really good. So this is ready to install in the front. That is a result. I've been working also on the fantail, and I have added these 3D resin printed parts, which are really nice, and they've got I put a little bit of blue behind them, so they'll give you that little blue punch, which is nice. And fortunately, we have masks from the great Lou Del Meso for the fantail red accompanying lights at the top. So I have been painting this a bunch, and it's beautiful. It's looking really good now. I'm very happy with it. Now, while we're on the subject of masks, I have a small complaint to make. It's just a small one. It's not a large one, it's a small one. The painting, the mask kit does not come with any masks for the AB deck. None. When I brought this up to the great Lou over at Aztec Dummy, he looked at me and he said, "Yes, you paint it by hand, like every good modeler does." He put me right in my place. I said, "Well, wait a minute. There's nothing I can put around here that I can make a perfect..." No. Paint it by hand and move on with your life. Now, you can certainly do that, and I'm going to try. But I do have some vinyl tape for curves, and I will put some of that down here just so that I don't go outside of the lines. But I'm going to be hand painting this, okay? And I'm petrified because you are going to get to see what a hand-painted AB deck looks like. And I'm going to either be ridiculed off the planet or it'll look pretty good. So I've got a challenge here. And so I will be painting this by hand. But anyway, that's coming up next. The neck is ready to go. I've taken care of all the seams there and here, so that I'm very happy with. I might have a little bit of touch-up to do around the, if I can get this in focus, yeah, I've got a little bit of touch-up to do here, a little bit of sanding before we move on. And I've got to, obviously, I've got to figure out how I'm going to clean off these little crystals here, but I'm going to leave them covered for now until we're ready to do some final painting. But the neck is there. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on pylons. So we'll be doing that in the next segment, okay? And we're also going to be talking about nacelles. We'll take a look at those for the first time, and I think that will complete the Part 5 update. So let's move on. Okay, so as promised, we're going to take a look at the top of the secondary hull and the pylons. Now, what I've done is I've given everything a base coat of primer and sanded it down, and now you sort of it's time for connecting the pylons to the secondary hull, because that is my my completion strategy. My completion strategy is to get the secondary hull as one stage, the saucer as a second stage, and of course the nacelles as a third stage. And obviously we've been testing this. We know that we've got, we had a little bit of a fit issue. We've worked through the fit issue, and so this sits down quite nicely. And so what I have to do now is, of course, I didn't prepare for this segment, which is fine, because you know what? Sometimes it is about the process, right? So I'm going to get my cool shot out and get that fired up. Shouldn't take more than a minute. I can I can bloviate for a minute. I'm good at that. Because what it's asking you to do now is to now align these segments to this unit, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to 5-minute epoxy my pylons into my top, because we know that they fit correctly now. Everything is good, and it's nice and tight, and nothing is interfering. So it's not causing that bulge. If you go back and you go back to, I think, segment 2 or 3, we talk about this fit issue with these pylons, and so you got to grind them down enough so that nothing interferes with the its ability to sit nicely on the top of the secondary hull. It's one of the primary reasons for that large gap, and so what this is going to do, or does do, is reduce that. Pretty much makes it go away. It's a good trick. Okay, so those are going to get 5-minute epoxied in, and then I'm going to take my my 2 nacelle hookups, and these are leads. They have these wonderful plug and play pins in them. And the nice thing about this kit is it's completely idiot proof. And I say that quite humbly as a charter member of that group. And so you can't go wrong. There's no way to confuse which one goes where, because all the plugs have their own size and shape. And so the only thing you have to be very, very careful of is, and it is designed to pull apart and test and put back, and and it's quite resilient. But the only thing you've got to be absolutely careful of is that when you are plugging these in, that you don't bend those pins. You've got to be very careful. Just take your time and apply even pressure, and they come off and they go on. And check them. Make sure every time that you're not bending something, and you'll be fine. And so what that's going to allow you to do is essentially plug the nacelle into here, and that can then get attached to the ship, and off you go. Now, there could be an alignment issue. I don't know yet what that is, but it has been suggested to me that I might think about some kind of a jig to make sure that we're all square. And so I will definitely give that some serious consideration and make sure that nothing isn't square. And away we'll go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to epoxy resin. I'm going to do 5-minute epoxy into these, and they will be permanently joined to here. Okay, and then the other two portions of the pylons get attached to the top of the secondary hull. And then, through the magic of magic, the idea is that you just simply line up these pins. You'll be able to line up these pins and glue that together, and you are good to go. And but I probably won't do that yet, because what I want to make sure is that I've got all my puttying and sanding and painting done. I've got a little bit of schmutz here, but I'm going to continue with this segment because I want to get this. I want to move along, and I want to get this locked in. Because once that is locked in, it's going to allow me to start seeing where I need to blend my paint and any seam line issues that I should have, but I don't think I'll have any. And so I should be good to go. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to 5-minute epoxy these into here, and I'm going to leave that overnight, and that'll be rock solid. And then we'll also we'll get the we'll get these lines attached, and that that will be that. And so there's nothing to worry about here because this drops into the top of the secondary hull, and it will plug into the top. I do have to right here put a little notch, which I've just realized I haven't done. I'm going to put a little notch in here just because I want to make sure that this doesn't interfere with anything, but it shouldn't. Okay, so that will take care of the pylons, and then we can take a look at those. And so now, and so I'll carry on with that, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's all complete. And now I want to take, as promised, I want to take a quick look at the nacelles before we end this segment. So what I think I'll do is we'll look at the nacelles as the last part of this update of 5. And then in 6, we'll go on to nacelles, wiring the nacelles, looking again at the chiller grills, all those lighting issues. And in 6, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room. Which actually I'll share that with you right now, and then we'll grade me on my success in 6. So let's look at the nacelles right now. So what I've done is I've done a little light blocking on the back of these. The only crucial, obviously, parts for light blocking actually are the tips where you've got your floods and your crystal light at the top. The chiller grills really should be fine, but you know, as my dear friend Lou says, belts and suspenders, get everything light blocked. You'll be happier for it. Lots of things to make you aware of. If you've not opened your kit, then you haven't had the privilege of looking at a couple of issues. I've shared it with you earlier on, but we'll talk about it here for just a second. And that is, I'm going to snap these together and most likely regret it, but I think I have to. So, issue number 1, okay? Here's issue number 1. I have used the locator pins. If you use the locator pins, and this is why I've given it a coat of primer, and the black actually really helps. If you use the locator pins, and I get you close enough here, I hope you can see this. I'm going to put my blade in here to show you. Do you see that? It's a step. It's a step. And it's caused by the locator pins not being perfectly engineered in the exact position. Now, you can force this into submission, but when you do that, you could run into all kinds of issues. So you may want to consider removing those pins. I know it's not a great idea, but the step is an even worse idea. Now, you've got to try and do this in pieces anyway to get this glued up properly, I believe. And I may do a little consulting with some other modelers on this, but I can tell you categorically, looking at this, that it's completely out of alignment. If you look at the back here, you can see it here perfectly. Now, these locator pins are all together, and you can see that this doesn't line up. Now, these lights are supposed to be off-centered. It's correct that they're in these positions. They're not supposed to be together. So don't let that confuse you. I'm talking about the end of the piece right here. Doesn't line up. And you know it is where it needs to be because you can see here it's lined up. And you can see in the back that for the most part it's lined up. Although it is, there is a step here. You can feel it. And there's no way on this God's green earth that you're going to fix that by pushing it and pulling it. I've discovered over the years that most things are designed to be engineered where if you have any kind of resistance at all, something is wrong. And something is wrong. Okay? So that is problem number one that I'm going to have to deal with. The question is which pins have to be removed in order to make that problem go away? That's number one. Number two, this seam is one of the biggest nightmares of this kit because it runs right the way through the top of the kit, right the way through it, steps down, and goes all the way down, hits this light here, this detail, and then carries on after it. So, and if you look here underneath, you can see that these lines are not lined up. This wants to come back. It wants to come back quite a bit. And I'm pushing on it, and it doesn't want to go back. It doesn't want to go back, which tells me that I'm going to have to remove these locator pins in order to get this to fit correctly. Now, the good news about that is that it probably will allow me to be a little more careful in my gluing because I need to glue this in pieces. You can't just glue the whole thing and try to stick it down. You're going to be in a world of hurt. You got to do it in little sections and get it glued down. And then once it's solid, you can play with it. But that's the biggest key here is to get these together and avoid that step. That's the key. You got to avoid the step because if you have a step, you're going to be sanding and grinding and sanding and grinding, and you're never going to get it perfect. Now, that's not to say you can't make it work, because you can. And I'm sure there's a lot of modelers out there who are far more skilled than I who can do it. But I don't want to start having to grind down a step. I really don't. If I have to, I will, but I don't want to. This is going to be one of the biggest challenges. This and the saucer is a royal. It's really tough work, and it's you've got to have patience. Speaking of the saucer, before we sign off on this update, I wanted to share with you, because I never did. I never did share them with you. I have a set. Now I've gone to try and find these, and they appear to be out of print. So, or you just can't get them. This set is from 2006, so most likely I'm going to have to dust them with some decal promoter sealer. Excuse me, I apologize. In order to make sure that these are good to go, but they're from JT Graphics, and they are saucer sensor bands decals. And they are what they're going to do. What they're going to do is they're going to allow me to not stress out about sanding down my lines on my saucer. I can go to town and just make sure nothing's edging up or anything. I'm trying to be careful and keep it clean. But putting these bands down, it's going to give that a beautiful finish. So I'm going to be using those. Now, there is a decal, you say, Phil. I say yes. There's a decal that you can get that comes with the kit. That's true. But that decal has Aztec lines on it. And we're going to be painting ours on ourselves. And so I don't want it to look like there's a decal on the front of my saucer and nowhere else. It's just it'll just stand out like a sore thumb. So anyway, lots going on, and I'm enjoying this build immensely. I really am. Getting it sealed up and being able to put all those parts together is going to be a bit of a challenge. But obviously, it's going to have to be painted first, and we'll be doing that obviously down the road. So in the next update, we'll look at wiring up the nacelles. We'll discuss further the conclusion that I've come to about the pins on this having to be removed, but I will reach out to a couple of other fellow modelers and ask them their opinion on that. And then we will have obviously finished our pylons and got that all glued up and ready to go. So there you go. I hope you're enjoying the content. Thank you so much to all my subscribers for your awesome comments. It means an awful lot to me. If you've just found me, welcome. Please like and subscribe. You can drop me a line at spruverse@gmail.com if you want to, or just leave a comment below. I'm happy to respond to either. And you can follow me as I post my in the weeds photos of the daily the build progression on my Instagram account, which is Spruverse. But as always, everybody, happy Thanksgiving. I wish all of you please be well, be safe, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.